Hello everyone, this is Miles with the Video Game Amusement Podcast, and today I am coming at you from my car. And of course today, what we are going to be talking about is the my Generation 3 of Pokemon. And of course this is about playing Generation 3 in 2020. Now, when I mention Generation 3, what I mean by that is, of course, Pokemon Fire Red, Leaf Green, Emerald, Sapphire, and Ruby. Now, these games, I would argue, have aged exceptionally well. So we're going to go ahead and go over how they compare to modern-day Pokemon, pros and cons of playing them in 2020, and I should also mention that when it comes to Generation 3, this also includes Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness. Alright, so let's go ahead and start to assess these magnificent works of art. Okay, so Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green have to be some of my favorite games of all time. I love Fire Red, love Leaf Green. I play through them every year, and I play through Emerald maybe every 2 or 3 years. So, let's talk about, of course, Ruby and Sapphire were the first releases. And Ruby and Sapphire were very interesting because it focused primarily on all of the new Pokemon, and I thoroughly appreciate that fact. Now, when you got to Fire Red and Leaf Green, of course, once you unlocked the Sevii Islands, you were able to trade between the two games. Now, this was magnificent. It was cool to have a Pokemon, really a Gen 1 style game where you could capture Johto Pokemon, and not only that, 3rd gen Pokemon through trade, with the exception of a couple other 3rd gen Pokemon such as Wynaut and Azurill. So, of course, if we look at Fire Red and Leaf Green, what's crazy is still to this day, there hasn't really been a remaster or a remake of Fire Red and Leaf Green. At least not... there really hasn't been. I mean, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are a totally different ball game. Because, for a variety of reasons. But, of course, something very noteworthy is the fact that Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green were home to the Sevii Islands, of course. And the Sevii Islands were some of the coolest they were one of the coolest locations in Pokemon geographical history. And the fact that they couldn't have taken the Sevii Islands and added them to a modern Pokemon game is just disappointing, to say the least. Because who doesn't want to go and travel through 7 beautiful islands full of life? And just full of interesting places. I mean, you have you have all of the unknown on 7 Island. On 5 Island, you have a cave that I cannot remember the name of, but it's it's an odd cave. It's a very confusing cave. And when you get to the last room of the cave, you can capture Misdreavus or Murkrow, depending on what game you're in. And, of course, 4 Island had the daycare, having the daycare in Fire Red and Leaf Green was just amazing. I do not understand why someone would play the original blue or red version when there's Fire Red or Leaf Green. And that's coming from someone that owns blue and yellow. I don't own red. I have owned red, but I don't own it anymore. And I suppose there's the nostalgia factor, and I think that's about the only reason why someone would do it. And I guess they're fun, but of course those old games have a lot of flaws. So, anyways, do Fire Red and Leaf Green hold up to 2020? Yes. Kanto's an interesting region. I love Kanto. Now, Kanto kind of gets a bad rap, and that's of course due to the fact that it's such a simple region. Now, I personally love how simple Kanto region is, because it makes it feel more like home. And I appreciate something familiar to me. Now, of course, you get into games like Emerald, Ruby, and Sapphire. You have places like Fortree or, well, Sutopolis and Moss Deep, and that for me does not feel like home. Now, however, those were very innovative at the time in the Pokemon universe, and I thoroughly love Sutopolis, I love Moss Deep, I love Fortree, and of course, as for the larger metros in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, and, well, are there a lot of larger metros? I mean, you've got Lily Cove. I guess there really aren't. I do appreciate Dewford. Dewford's great. Dewford is a cute little place. Anyways, of course, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald introduced the secret base mechanic, which was okay. Now, of course, Pokemon Emerald introduced the Battle Frontier, and that's probably the best Battle Frontier. I mean, Platinum and Heart Gold and Soul Silver, of course, had the Battle Frontier, but really, there were 7 different buildings in Pokemon Emerald in the Battle Frontier, and they were all very fun and exciting. And, of course, I think everyone appreciated the Battle Frontier in Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Platinum as well, but just didn't quite hold up. Now, one of the problems with these third-generation games, these Game Boy Advance games, was how difficult it was to complete the Pokédex. So Pokemon Company, Nintendo, they really wanted to milk people for their money, because they knew that there were completionists out there, super nerds, who wanted to complete their Pokédex. So what did you need to do to complete the Pokédex in the third generation? I'll tell you what you needed to do. You needed to own, first of all 5 games. Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Fire Red, Leaf Green. Okay, and then on top of that, you needed to own the 2 GameCube games. You needed to own Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness. And on top of that, you would have to buy the Game Boy Advance cable that connects to the GameCube, which thankfully, still to this day, is only like $10. Now, here's the thing. Fire Red and Leaf Green, it's very easy to complete the first 150 Pokemon. You can easily do it in less than 100 hours. Easily. And if you want to complete third gen, though, well, second gen, let's talk about second gen first. So if you want to complete the Johto Pokédex, for the most part, it's straightforward. Entei, Raikou, and Suicune are a piece of cake, especially if you have both games. Catch one in Fire Red, catch one in Leaf Green, then restart one and catch the other. And the games don't take long to beat. It's a pretty straightforward process without cheats. Now, where it gets rough is when we have to capture Umbreon, Espeon, and the 3 starter Pokemon, Totodile, Cyndaquil, and Chikorita. Now, the reason this is so tough is because you can only capture Espeon and Umbreon in XD Gale of Darkness and Colosseum. What type of bullcrap is that? So, of course, you get to choose one as a starter in Pokemon Colosseum. So, here's the thing, though. Choose Umbreon or Espeon, and then afterwards, after the fact, you have to beat the game, and then you have to trade it over. And that's okay, but then you have to restart Colosseum and get Umbreon. Well, assuming you chose Espeon the first time, I should say. And then you have to beat the game again and trade that over. Okay, so you've got these two, which are very hard to get. You could also, I shall say, you can also get Umbreon and Espeon in XD Gale of Darkness, assuming you evolve. Now, back during the release of these games, this wasn't too bad. But of course, nowadays, with the increasing price of XD Gale of Darkness and Pokemon Colosseum, this is very difficult for many people trying to get into Generation 3 during 2020. Very difficult. A very high cost of investment. Very high investment. It's insane. It's ridiculous. $100 for XD Gale of Darkness, $50 to $60 for Pokemon Colosseum. It's absolute bullcrap. But I suppose that's what happens when we have this high demand for these games and no one wants to get rid of them. I mean, so that's the first problem. Espeon and Umbreon. You have to get them from the GameCube games, and I think that's the only way it's possible to retrieve them. Okay, now, as for the starters, when it comes to getting them, I actually don't remember if you can get them in XD Gale of Darkness at Pokemon Colosseum, so excuse my memory. But you can get them using just the Game Boy Advance games. Now, here's what you have to do. You have to beat Pokemon Emerald, and then you have to trade over the missing Generation 3 Pokemon from Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. And these are the Pokemon that are missing in Emerald. So, you trade these over from Ruby and Sapphire, and I think there's like 6 of them total. So, if you can find a friend that has Ruby and Sapphire and do it, good on you. However, it's 2020, so good luck with that. Okay, so once you've completed the regional Pokédex for Generation 3, you can go to Professor Birch, and he'll hook you up with Totodile, Chikorita, or Cyndaquil. Now, this is great. It's awesome. I mean, you have an authentic way, without a Game Shark, to retrieve these. Okay, so if you want to get all 3, though, you have to do this process 3 freaking times. So, of course, if you don't want to restart Pokemon Emerald version 3 times and complete the regional Pokédex 3 times for Generation 3, then that's when you go ahead and you cheat. Or you play ROM with cheats. But of course, here's the problem with that. It's not fun, at least in my opinion. I don't like doing that. A lot of people don't mind it, so. Of course, that's subjective. That's an opinion. But, yeah, like I say, in my opinion, that is not the way to go. So, you have to complete Emerald's Regional Pokédex 3 freaking times. What type of garbage is that? But, you know, of course, back then, the Pokemon Company was trying to bring people together. They're trying to bring Pokemon fans together. And I don't think they really thought of this as a problem, and I don't think they were really looking towards the future and thinking, oh, hey, in 2020, some guy is going to have to go out and buy all 7 of these Pokemon games, and then he's going to have to get a GameCube or a Wii, then he's going to have to buy an adapter. Well, not an adapter. He's going to have to buy the cable to connect from the game or from the Wii to his Game Boy Advance, and then he's going to have to blow hundreds of dollars on these Pokemon games, and then he's going to have to complete all these by himself, him or herself, and then they're going to have to buy they're going to have two Game Boy Advances. They're going to have two Game Boy Advances. They're going to have a link cable or a wireless GBA adapter so that he or she can trade with him or herself. And it's basically, it's just really sad. It's really sad. The amount of work that you have to put in to actually be a completionist Generation 3 Pokemon gamer in 2020. Now, is it worth your time? I'll tell you right now, no. Now, of course, capturing all the Johto Pokemon is honestly, I would argue it's worth your time, aside from Totodile, Cyndaquil, and Chikorita. I mean, you'll be very happy with yourself when you do get all three, but if you don't have a friend to trade with, or if you can't cheat for them, you're going to waste a lot of frickin' time getting those stupid little turds that you could have wasted doing other things. I mean, maybe better things, maybe not. So, there's that. So, completing the Kanto Pokédex, on the other hand, that is not a bad time. That's really easy. I suggest that you do that. Get Fire Red, get Leaf Green, complete your Kanto Pokédex. You'll be pleasantly surprised at how easy and fun it is. Capturing Magmar, capturing Electabuzz, capturing Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno, capturing all these really cool Pokemon. Of course, I think the biggest problem with completing the Kanto Pokédex is definitely the Safari Zone, capturing Kangaskhan, and on top of that, capturing Tauros and a Chansey. Those three Pokemon will give you more trouble than you could ever imagine. But is it worth it? Sure. Why not? But let me tell you, you throw a rock at Kangaskhan, it flees. You throw a rock at Tauros, it flees. You throw a Pokeball, they flee. What are your chances of finding them? Like 5%. It is seriously an extremely slim chance. So, that is one of the only problems with completing the Kanto Pokédex. Now, as for legendary Pokemon, of course, what Pokemon did back then was they did events. They did events for Mew. They did events for Latios and Latias. They did events for Deoxys. Jirachi. Jirachi, you had a bonus disc that I think came with Colosseum. You got events for Ho-Oh and Lugia. And I think Celebi as well, I would assume. Because they had to cover all their bases, right? So, of course, you can get Ho-Oh and Lugia via trade with Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness and Pokemon Colosseum. Now, in order to get these, you have to practically 100% the games. So I'm going to throw that out there right now. So, if you're going to capture Lugia and Ho-Oh, just prepare yourself for a very hefty investment of time into GameCube Pokemon games, which is honestly pretty fun. Now, as for completing the Generation 3 Pokédex, that's honestly a piece of cake. Actually, that's not true. That is not true. The Generation 3 Pokédex has one Pokemon that will make your quest to receiving a Generation 2 starter very difficult, and that is capturing a Feebas. Alright, Pokemon Emerald made capturing Feebas so hard that even I won't do it. Alright, does that mean much to any of you? No, I highly doubt that. But I am a very avid Pokemon gamer. I've played through all the games so many times. And when I say all the games, I should clarify, I mean the games between Pokemon Emerald and Pokemon X and Y. After that, I didn't touch Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. I have nothing against them, but I'd just rather spend time on the Pokemon generation that I love most. And of course, I don't really touch my Pokemon Silver version. Sorry, not Silver, Crystal. I don't really touch my Gen 1 games. I kind of just have them for nostalgia. Because Pokemon Blue was my first game. So I just feel obligated to keep that game because that's what got me into Pokemon. So anyways, yes, back to what I was talking about, capturing a Feebas is a pain in the Feebas. You see what I did there? Alright, so capturing Feebas is tough because if I remember right, what you gotta do, you have to go to a cave, one single cave, and it's full of water, and each individual space has, well, there's like 520 spaces, and what you have to do is you have to go around to each space, and every day the spaces change, like which space will have a Feebas. And what will happen is 4 of these 520 spaces will have a Feebas. Now, if I remember right, you have a 50% chance of reeling up a Feebas in one of these 4 spaces. So you could check every single space in the cave and not find a Feebas. And you have to fish for it. You have to fish. And I can't remember if there's a particular rod that you are required to use, but you have to fish. So, good luck. Good luck catching a Feebas in 2020. I would not waste your time catching a Feebas, so just forget about obtaining a Totodile and a Chikorita, and what's the other one? Cyndaquil. And of course, that's really sad because Typhlosion is beautiful. Feraligatr is beautiful. Meganium. Alright, Meganium. Look, I like Meganium, but not as much as the next guy. I think it's an okay Pokemon. So, some of the pros. So, okay, there's some cons right there. There are some major cons. The cons are Pokédex completion, expensives of games, buying 2 Game Boy Advances if you want to be a completionist to trade Pokemon between each other, buying a Wii or a GameCube in order to trade to that system between XD Gale of Darkness / Colosseum to the Game Boy Advance games. So, that's a con right there. Now, aside from that, what other cons do we have? I know I said I was going to go into pros, but as for other cons, we hadn't had the special and physical attack split yet. So, moves like ice and water and fire and psychic, ghost, they're all special type attacks. And as for like physical attacks, you've got, ground type, rock type, fighting type, those types. And so this is very problematic. One of my favorite Pokemon from this generation is Poliwrath. Poliwrath is a beast. Go to Fuchsia City, teach your Poliwrath substitute, teach your Poliwrath belly drum, preferably as a level 43 Poliwhirl. Because if you don't do level 43 Poliwhirl, I think you have to wait until a level 51 Poliwrath. So, a freaking subbing, belly drumming Poliwrath in Generation 3 is arguably the best physical sweeper. I would argue it's the best physical sweeper. Now, here's the problem. You don't really have stab. You have stab for fighting, same type attack boost. However, waterfall had not become a physical water attack yet, so it's a special attack. So you belly drum, and it doesn't even matter for Poliwrath. So what do? You teach Poliwrath something like Body Slam and Brick Break or Focus Punch. Focus Punch if you're a patient person and you're being competitive, but if you're going through something like the Elite Four or just a casual player, I'd go Brick Break. I like Brick Break a lot. So anyways, of course, Brick Break and Body Slam are great. Brick Break is stab. Once again, same type of attack boost. Did I already say that? I don't know. And of course, Body Slam does not have a same type attack boost. However, it is a physical move. Normal type attacks are physical, including Hyper Beam. So yes, you could potentially use Hyper Beam. Well, you can use, not potentially, you can use Hyper Beam on a Pokemon with high physical attack, and it will destroy your opponent. Not a high special attack, high physical. So that's certainly a downside right there, is the fact that they hadn't gone to that split yet. As for exploration, the exploration was top-notch in Generation 3. For Fire Red, Leaf, for all the games, on the Game Boy Advance in particular. Pokemon Emerald, you had your Battle Frontier, you had the Safari Zone where you could capture some really cool Johto Pokemon, and of course after the game you could capture Rayquaza. Well, you could do that in Emerald version before the Elite Four, and I can't remember if you could do that before the Elite Four in Ruby and Sapphire. But anyways, so the exploration's great. Go out, capture a bunch of legendary Pokemon. The region is just absolutely beautiful in Pokemon Emerald version. You can go out and create a base wherever you want. You can go to and you can go and explore the desert and retrieve the fossils. And of course, you can surf for days. Oh my word, diving. Capturing the 3 Reggies. Regirock, Regice, Registeel. That's an adventure in itself. Now, I think the most exciting place to explore is, of course, like I mentioned earlier, the Sevi Islands, Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. And it's just crazy that they don't throw these really cool geographical locations into modern games. And I love the geography of Black 2, White 2, Alpha Sapphire, Omega Ruby, Platinum. But there's just something about the Sevi Islands that is just so attractive, so appealing. And it's so hard to emulate the feeling that you get when traveling to the Sevi Islands in Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. So, I would make an argument for those to be the best geographical locations. I know you guys are going, we get it. You like the Sevi Island. Shut up about it. And you know what? I suppose I will. Well, kind of. Actually, that's not true, because I have to discuss some great parts of the Sevi Islands. Of course, on 6 Island, you have this amazing lush forest full of bug-type Johto Pokemon and bug-type Kanto Pokemon. You can capture Heracross, Leddyba, Spinarak. It's really fun to capture the Heracross because you can talk to this girl and she'll measure the horn of the Heracross and she'll give you a nest ball, if I remember right, if you come back with a bigger horn. With a Heracross with a bigger horn. So, as a young lad, as like a 12-year-old lad, I really enjoyed doing this. I wasted a lot of time capturing Heracrosses. I suppose that's the plural form of Heracross. Heracrosses, Heracrosses, Heracry, who knows? So I captured a lot of Heracross. Now that actually sounds like a better plural. Of course, you've got the Battle Tower. That's pretty fun. I think that's on Sevi Island. You have Sea Vault Canyon. You can go out there, capture Larvitar, capture Skarmory, and just have a good old time out there. And on top of all this, Kanto region is not too bad to explore. Safari Zone's cool. Finding Articuno and Zapdos is cool. And of course, honestly, now that I think about it, and I truly do understand why people have a hard time going back to Pokemon Generation 3, Kanto, and exploring. Kanto region. Oh, and of course, I left out the cave, Cerulean Cave, where you can capture Mewtwo. And not only capture Mewtwo, but you can capture endless Pokemon. And that brings me to another thing in Pokemon Fire Red. The storyline is actually really fun. Okay, it's such a classic storyline. Okay, so it's a storyline that never gets old for me. Giovanni. Right? Team Rocket. Now, Team Rocket and Giovanni for me are like Mario and Bowser for Mario fans. Okay? You never really get sick of Mario having to save the princess. Mario has to go out, and of course Bowser and his Koopalings will kidnap Princess Peach and Mario, and his cohorts have to go out and get Princess Peach back, whether that's in Super Mario Galaxy or just the regular Mario games. I guess Mario and Luigi games, you have a different antagonist. Same thing goes for Mario RPG. But with your 3D Mario games and your standard side scrollers, of course you're going up against Bowser pretty much all the time. Now, as for Pokemon, rebattling Team Rocket and Giovanni over and over again is a blast. And it was great in Blue and Red. And what's really cool, though, is Pokemon Team Rocket they attempt to make a comeback once you hit the Sevi Islands. And they're poaching Pokemon, and you have to stop them. And it's a really fun and exciting adventure. You have to go to the dotted hole on 6 Island, and you have to find this ruby, and then you have to go to 1 Island, and you have to go through this cave that some Team Rocket grunts are guarding, and then you have to go to 5 Island, and you have to unlock the password to their Team Rocket hideout, and it is just a blast going through that small side story, that side quest. And what's amazing about the Pokemon games is they put so much effort into the post-game. The post-game is just phenomenal. I mean, there's a reason these were some of the first games where you could blow hundreds of hours on the game. And you had long RPGs in the Tales series, to an extent the Final Fantasy series, and of course, like around this time you had a bunch of PS2 RPGs that were long, but nothing that you could invest as much time in as Pokemon in terms of story and just being a completionist. I mean, you could spend hundreds of hours on these games. Once again, I'll express that. So, that was definitely, and still is to this day, a huge pro of those 2 games, Fire Red and Leaf Green. And Pokemon Emerald doesn't have much of a storyline afterwards with Team Aqua, Team Magma, and that's okay. I appreciate just going out and capturing Groudon and Kyogre. And I really appreciate the storyline that takes place in Pokemon Emerald, where you get to see Rayquaza come out of the sky, and you get to see Rayquaza break up the fight between Groudon and Kyogre after Team Magma and Aqua stir up tension. So, that's pretty cool. But aside from that, I mean, you finish Emerald version and you go to the Battle Frontier and you have a good time battling. And then you go to the cave under the Battle Frontier and you catch a couple Smeargle. That's the story on the post game for that. And of course, I mean, let's talk about great trainers. So and items. So Pokemon Fire Red introduced the best key item of all time, hands down. The Verse Seeker. What the freak? Why is the Verse Seeker not in every single Pokemon game? Why is the Verse Seeker not in Heart Gold and Soul Silver? Why? Why is the Verse Seeker not in, from what I can remember, Black 2, White 2, Black, White, and Alpha Sapphire, Omega Ruby? I seriously don't think it's in those games. The Verse Seeker was amazing in Fire Red. What you could do is you could put an amulet coin on one of your Pokemon. Well, and of course you have to use that Pokemon. And what you do is you go to Five Island, and if you want to become rich really quickly, you go out to Five Island, surf up to an island with a house and these very wealthy trainers. And you battle them, and with your amulet coin, you're getting double the money, and you're getting about 20k per battle. And you can just battle them over and over with your Verse Seeker. One of them has like a Flaffy, and the other one has like a Skiploom. They have another they both have another Pokemon or two, but just battle these trainers over and over. And seriously, you can make 100k, like 100 Pokédollars in maybe 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. So simple. And of course, just raising Pokemon was so easy. And finding high-leveled Pokemon was easy. You go to Cerulean Cave in Fire Red and Leaf Green, and you can capture Kadabra at level 67. You can capture Wobbuffet at level 67. You can capture Magneton and Rhyhorn and Graveler. All of these at least level 50. You can capture high-level Parasect, high-level Golduck. You name it. You can capture at high level. And, of course, it was great to have a game with Mewtwo in Generation 3. Everyone appreciated that. Mewtwo was a pain to catch. I think, although I will say, I surprised myself and caught Mewtwo with a Great Ball my last time catching Mewtwo, so that was fun. But yes, the Verse Seeker. Where is the Verse Seeker nowadays? And of course, Pokemon Emerald had the Pokénav. Pokénav was cool. I'll do an entirely different episode to discuss different tools in Pokemon. You know, you've got your Pokétch, your Pokénav, your Pokégear. But these are all, like I say, for a different discussion. So, you had a lot of great items in these games. You had lots of great Pokemon in these games. And so let's assess cons and pros again. So cons, we've got the difficult level of completing the Pokédex. You have, what was my other con? The special and physical split. And, well, it hadn't happened yet. But aside from that, I wouldn't say there are many other cons. I mean, the pros are, you've got fun storylines, you've got great regions. In fact, I would say there's not really a bad Pokemon region. That's just my take. So you've got great regions, you've got fun stories, you've got amazing Pokédex, and I guess one con I will say, I know I've already gone over my cons list, is grass-type Pokemon, and dark-type even. Really just in general attacks. It's hard to find good attacks for Pokemon. So Ice-type had Ice Beam. Fire-type had Flamethrower. And Water-type had Surf. And even Waterfall. Now, you got the Grass-type. What the hell do you have? You have Razor Leaf with a base attack of 55 and like an accuracy of 90 or something like that. And, of course, you have Giga Drain, I suppose, but that is low PP, and it's a move that's all about absorption, but it is better than Razor Leaf. But where is Energy Ball? Where is frickin' Energy Ball? I mean, of course you have your rechargeable moves like Frenzy Plant and Hydro Cannon, but, and of course, in particular Frenzy Plant, because we're talking about grass type. But Frenzy Plant, like I said, you have to recharge. Of course, what you do is you teach them Frenzy Plant, take out a Pokemon in one hit, and then swap out Pokemon, right? But it's kind of bull crap. Now, of course, Electric type had Thunderbolt. Psychic had Psychic. Dark type, I can't remember if the Dark type really had anything that was too effective. I think the Dark type were pretty basic. Now, what the heck do you have? Thief? Absolute garbage. Flying type had Wing Attack and Fly. So yeah, Grass type kind of got screwed over. Of course, it's very difficult with the gyms in Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green if you choose a Fire-type starter. So if you choose a Fire-type starter, you got to deal with Brock with a Charmander or a Charmeleon. And that's annoying. At least in later Pokemon games like Platinum, Diamond and Pearl, if you choose Chimchar, he's a fighting type, and fighting type super effective against rock. You don't really have that in Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. And, of course, really, the gyms are great in both games, though. But, yeah, gym leaders with a fire type are ridiculous in Fire Red and Leaf Green. Especially second gym with a fire type. Yeah. But yeah, gym leaders are great in both games. I love the gym leaders. Love the Elite Four. I love the Elite Four in every game. I love the champion Fire Red and Leaf Green. You've got your rival. That's awesome. And of course, the champion in Emerald is what? Steven? I think that's correct. Anyways, I have rambled on about Pokemon for far too long, but I've covered the majority of the bases that I wanted to cover on playing Pokemon Gen 3 in 2020. So do I suggest it? Yes. Yes, playing Pokemon Gen 3 in 2020 is well worth your time. Even if you're not a completionist, even if you just want to play Emerald on its own, or Fire Red or Leaf Green on their own, it is well worth your time. You'll thoroughly enjoy the exploration. You'll thoroughly enjoy the Pokemon available to you. And what you'll really enjoy is how simple they are. You don't worry too much about you having a crazy strategy, and yeah, they're just really fun games. So I would certainly suggest it for 2020. Alright, so anyways, This is the Video Game Amusement Podcast. Follow me on Instagram at Video Game Amusement. Find me on YouTube at Fresh Geek. I realize that there are 2 Fresh Geek YouTube channels. Mine is more primitive, and my channel has far less subscribers than the other Fresh Geek. So, go follow Fresh Geek on YouTube. Go follow Video Game Amusement on Instagram. And you can follow my Facebook page, Miles Halter Podcasts, for other podcasts as well. So, anyways, thank you, listeners. Thank you very much for tuning in. And of course, if you follow me on Instagram, message me. Let me know your thoughts on this podcast episode and other podcast episodes. Just same name, Video Game Amusement on Instagram. Have a great day ahead of yourselves and go play some Gen 3. Thank you very much once again for listening.